Welcome to Provocative Conversations from Twice 5 Miles Radio. I'm your host, Welcome to
Navé.
Provocative Conversations.
My guest today is Deborah Domanski.
Radio. I'm your
Deborah is
host,
an
James
opera singer.
Navé.
I had the
My
opportunity
guest today
to
is
meet
Deborah
Deborah
Domanski
at the 2025 Leaf Festival in Swannanoa, North Carolina.
Deborah
At the
I quickly
2025
learned that
Leaf
Deborah was an
Festival in
opera singer. She
Swannanoa,
wasn't at the
North
Leaf Festival
Carolina
to sing opera.
I quickly learned that
She
Deborah
was
was
there
an opera
with
singer.
her
She wasn't at
significant
the
other,
Leaf
David
Festival
Land,
to sing
and
opera.
David
She
was
was there
sponsoring two
with
Navajo
her significant
weavers
other,
from
David
northern New
Land,
Mexico
and
near the
David
Four Corners
was sponsoring
area.
two Navajo
So Deborah
weavers
was there with
from
David
northern
and
New
Navajo
Mexico near
weavers.
the Four Corners
I struck up a
area.
conversation with her
So
and
Deborah
quickly
was
learned
there
that
with
she
David
sang
and Navajo
opera
weavers and had
I struck up
traveled
a
all over the
conversation
world
with her and
doing
quickly
it. I
learned
found
that
that very
she
interesting.
sang
So
opera. I
and
introduced
had
her
traveled
to
all
Walter
over the
Parks,
world
who
doing
was
it. I found that very
playing
interesting. So
and they
I
soon
introduced her
discovered
to
they had a lot
Walter
in
Parks,
common.
who
Both
was
were professional
playing at Leaf.
musicians.
Turns
And
out
they
Walter's
soon
interest
discovered they
in
had a lot in common.
old-time
Both were
gospel
professional
musicians, along with
Turns
rock
out
and roll and
Walter's
other
interest
kinds of
in
genres,
old
and
time
Deborah's
gospel
interest in opera
songs
along with
overlapped.
rock and roll and other kinds
Walter
of genres,
had an
and
opera
Deborah's
song
interest
he had
in
worked
opera
up for the guitar.
overlapped. So they agreed
Walter
to
had an
perform
opera
together
song he had
on the
worked
Leaf
up for the
stage
guitar.
on Friday night,
So they
which turned out
agreed
to be
to
quite interesting.
perform
In this
together
provocative
on the Leaf
conversation,
stage
Deborah
on Friday
unpacks
night, which
how
turned out to
she
be
and
quite
Walter
interesting.
were able
In
to
this
collaborate
provocative
almost
conversation, Deborah
instantly and walk on
unpacks
stage,
how she
and
and
perform
Walter
a
were
really
able to
terrific
collaborate
piece, made
almost
everybody
instantly
feel
and
like
walk
they
on
belonged.
stage.
In
In
addition
addition
to
to
telling
telling
us
us
how
how
she
she
and
and
Walter
everybody feel
collaborated
like they belong.
in this
In addition to
conversation,
telling
Deborah
us
and I
how
talk
she
about
and Walter
what it means to be a
collaborated.
master.
In
And
this
you might be
provocative
surprised that our
conversation, Deborah and I talk
conclusion
about
what it
might
means to
not
be a
be
master,
as
and you
highbrow
might be
as
surprised
you
at our
might
conclusion.
So now
Might
let's
not
turn to my
be as
conversation with
highbrow
Deborah. We
as you
begin by
might
me
suspect.
asking her to
So
talk
now
about
let's turn to
her
my
first
conversation with
experiences
Deborah.
when
We
she
begin
arrived at
by
Leaf.
me asking her to
So
talk about
Deborah,
her
you
first
and
experiences
your
when she
sweetheart
arrived at Leaf.
David
Came to
So
the
Deborah,
Leaf
you
Festival
and
a few
your
weeks
sweetheart
ago.
David
And when
came
you
to
arrived
the
with David,
Leaf
Festival
you, like so
a few
many
weeks
other
ago,
people,
and when
really
you
were
arrived with
taken
David,
in by all the
you,
activity
like so
of the
many
Leaf
other
Festival,
people,
the festive way people
really
were going about
taken in by
life.
all the
And
activity at the Leaf
when
Festival,
I
the
introduced
festive
you
way
to my
people
good
were
friend
going
Walter
about
Parks, who was
life. Playing at the Leaf
when
Festival,
I
he was
introduced
playing on
you
Friday
to my
night.
good friend
You all
Walter
arrived
Parks,
on
who was
Thursday.
playing
I
at the
connected
Leaf
you
Festival,
with
he was
Walter
playing on
Friday night,
and
you
I
all
told
arrived on
Walter that you
Thursday.
had
I connected you with
singing
Walter,
chops.
and I
And
told
I
you
told
that
Walter
Walter
that
had
you had
singing and
singing
playing
chops.
chops.
And
And
I
I
told
told
you
you
two
two
would
Walter
be
had
a
really
really
great
great
match.
playing chops.
And it all
And I thought you
started
two
when
would be
you
a
and
really
David and a
great
group
match.
of
And
folks
it
in
all
our
started
cohort
when
were having
you
dinner
and
the night
David and a
before, and I
group
asked you if you
of
sang, and you said yes, I
folks
do
in our
sing, and then I
cohort
introduced
were
the
having
idea
dinner
of
the night
Walter.
before, and I
So
asked
what
you
I'd
if you
like to
sang, and you said
start
yes, I
with
do
is
sing, and then I
having you
introduced the idea
talk
of
about
Walter.
so
The
what I'd like
experience
to
you
start
had
with is
when Walter
having
walked
you
up to us, we were all
talk
having a
about
little
the
late
experience
lunch
you
on the
had
lawn.
when Walter
And I
walked up
introduced
to
you
us.
to
We were all
Walter.
having a little
How did you
late
both
lunch on the
know
lawn, and I
this
introduced you to
collaboration,
Walter.
which did
How
take
did
place
you
a couple of
both
hours later,
know would work?
this
What was going on in your
collaboration,
mind?
which did
Can you
take
give
place
us
a
a bit of
couple
a
of hours
story
later,
about that? Would work. What was going
Thanks.
on in
Well,
your mind?
I
Can you
come
give
to
us a bit of a
everything
story
with
about
total
that?
curiosity, and
Thanks. Well,
with
I
the idea
come
of
to everything
yes
with total
before
curiosity
censoring
and
myself and saying, "Oh, I
with
couldn't possibly
the
do
idea
that. Oh,
of
you're
yes
famous. Oh,
before
I'm a
censoring
totally different
myself
genre."
and saying,
I
"Oh,
could
I
have
couldn't
come up with
possibly
all
do
these
that.
kinds
Oh,
of
you're
things and
famous.
really
Oh,
turned
I'm a
myself
totally
inside
different
out.
genre."
But what
I could have come
happened
up with
was
all
when
these kinds
Walter
of
and I
things
met,
and really
we met on
turned
this
myself
level
inside out.
of
But what
yes.
happened was when
And
Walter and I met,
we both
met on
said,
this
"Well,
level
let's see
of
what could be, what's
yes.
possible,
And
what could be
we
happening."
both
Between
said,
well, let's
your
see what could be, what's
creativity, my
possible, what could
creativity,
be
my
happening
expression, your expression,
between
these words,
your
this song,
creativity,
that
my
key,
creativity,
this
my expression,
environment
your
of the Leaf
expression, these Festival,
words,
which is
this
all
song,
about yes
that
and
key, this
curiosity,
environment
and
of the Leaf
experience.
Festival,
So
which is
Walter and I
all
met
about
at that
yes
place, and
curiosity,
it just
and worked.
experience.
And so Walter
I
and I met
always
at
do
that
better when I
place,
get
and
out of my own
it
way.
just worked.
In this
And
interview, for
I
example,
always do
like
better
I'm
when I
thinking,
get
oh,
out of
you
my
know,
own
there's some
way.
talking points I want to
In
bring
this
up. There's
interview,
all
for
kinds of things I
example,
want
like
to
I'm
I'm thinking,
talk to him. I want to ask him some questions I want to bring up. There's
what he's
all
up
kinds
to
of things
and
I
how
want to
maybe we could
talk
work
to him. I
together.
want to ask him some
and I'm
questions
thinking of all
about
this stuff,
what
and then I'm
he's
like,
up
no,
to
just
and how
let it
maybe
go.
we
Let's see
could
what
work
comes
together.
through. And I'm
as soon as
thinking
I
of
get
all
out of
this
my
stuff,
own
and then I'm
way,
like,
the
no, just
nerves
let it go.
calm,
Let's see what comes
the
through.
download
And
starts,
as soon
whatever
as I
that
get out
is,
of my
whatever
own
the
way,
connection
the
you and I
nerves
have,
calm,
whatever that
the
connection Walter and I
download
have,
starts, whatever that
anyone
is,
I
whatever
ever
the connection content.
you and
It's
I
about
have,
the
whatever that
connection more
connection
than it
Walter
is
and
the
I have,
content
anyone I
or
ever
where we're going to
meet,
go,
it's
what we're going
about
to
the
do.
connection more
It's
than it is
how
the
do I meet
content
you
right now.
or
And
where we're
that's
going to
and
go,
Walter
what
and
we're going
I
to
found
do.
each other.
It's
And
how
so
do
he
I
just
meet
started
you right
plucking
now.
out some
And
Walter and
chords,
I
and
found
he's
each
like,
other.
this is how the song goes.
And so he just
He
started
sang
plucking
me a
out
bit of the
some
melody,
chords.
said,
And
would you
he's
like
like,
to
this is how the
improvise
song
something
goes.
over
And
the top of
he
this?
sang me a bit of the
I'll give you a
melody. So,
verse. You
would
want
you
to
like
sing
to
the words?
improvise
Do you want
something
to?
over the top of this?
I'll give you a
Several
verse. You want to
things
sing the
went through my
words? Do you
mind
want
of
to?
what I could possibly
And
do.
he was singing in
Several
Italian. I could
things
sing in
went through my
Italian.
mind of what I could
I
possibly
could do an
do.
English translation.
He was singing in Italian. I could sing in
mirror
Italian
form to his.
I
what
could
he
do an
was
English
doing,
translation,
or I could just sing this beautiful
mirror
obligato
form to his
line over
what
the
he was
top that
doing,
would be
or I could
harmonizing,
just sing this beautiful
and
obligato
add texture
line
to
over
the
the
song,
top
or
that would be
I
harmonizing
could
and not use
and
words at
add
all and just sing
texture
oohs and
to the
ahs.
song, or
And
I
so
could
all these things
not
that
use
came
words
to
at all
mind,
and just
like
sing
I
oohs and
was planning
ahs.
for
And
this
so all these
interview,
things that
all of
came
that
to
came
mind,
to mind,
like I
but
was
then I just
planning for
let it all
this
go.
interview.
And when I got up there on
all
that
of that came
stage,
to mind, but then I just
we
let
met
it
on
all
a whole
go.
nother level.
And when I
which is
got
the
up there on
level
that
I really
stage,
love. This is like the collective
we met on a whole
consciousness,
nother level, which is the
where
level that I
musicians,
really love.
artists,
This is like the
creators
collective consciousness
meet
where
and commune to
musicians,
create something
artists,
greater than what our
creators
minds can
meet
create. It
and
comes from the
commune to
whole
create
being,
something
the soul, the
greater
body,
than
the
what
mind,
our
whatever you want to
minds
call
can
it.
create.
It comes
It's
from the
the
whole being,
wholeness of
the
ourselves.
soul, the
And
body,
if
the
we can
mind, whatever you
create
want to
from
call
there,
it. Possibilities
it's
are
the
limitless.
wholeness of
I
ourselves.
think that's what
And if
happened
we
on
can create
stage
from there,
when I went up there with
possibilities are
him.
limitless.
So people
I think
listening
that's what
to you
happened on
describe
stage
this.
when I went up
You
there with
dropped in
him.
a few bits of information that might surprise them. You dropped in we were singing in Italian. Information that might surprise other words that one would not singing apply in Italian, and you used some rock and
other
roll,
words
that one would not
you would
apply
expect
to on the leaf
folk
stage,
singing, rock
or what
and
you
roll,
might think would be
what
there.
you would expect
so what were
on the
you
leaf
up
stage,
to? This
or
was
what
something
you
a little
might
different.
think
Tell
would
us
be
what
there.
you did. So what were
was
you
it?
up to?
I'm an
This
opera
was
singer,
something a little
classical trained
different. Tell us
opera
what
singer,
you
went to
did.
Juilliard,
What was
sang
it?
all over the
I'm an opera
world
singer,
on
classical
some of the
trained
greatest stages.
opera singer, went
That's
to
been my
Juilliard,
world for
sang
the
all
last
over the
25
world
years.
on
Some of the greatest
now
stages.
I'm coming into
That's
this
been my world
idea
for the
where
last 25
I don't want
years.
to just
Now
get in
I'm
front of an
coming into
audience
this
and
be an
idea where
entertainer.
I
don't
want to
want to engage
just
the audience.
get
I
in
want
front
to
of an audience
bring
and
them
be an
into the
entertainer.
story.
I want
I
them to be
want
a
to
part
engage
of
the audience. I
the
want to
experience,
bring
not
them
just
into the
sit
story.
back
I
and
want
say,
them to be a
okay,
part of
entertain
the
me,
experience,
not
and
just
I'm up here and
sit
you're down
back and
there.
say, okay,
I want to bring us
entertain
together.
me. And
we were
and
improvising
I'm up here and
together.
you're down
You have
there.
to be super
I want to
present.
bring us
So
together.
with my opera
We were
background, his
improvising
gospel
together.
background,
You have to be super
he
present.
chose
So
this
with
particular
my opera
song, which is
background,
a
his gospel
Monteverdi
background,
piece, who was a
he
composer
chose
this particular
turn
song,
of
which is a
17th century.
Monteverdi piece,
Monteverdi
who was a
basically
composer
invented
that turn
opera.
of
Walter
17th century
created this
Monteverdi
piece,
all of
basically
his own,
invented
that
opera.
was based
Walter
on this
created this piece,
Monteverdi
all of his
madrigal
own,
that
that
was based
I
on
had
this
not known before, but I'm very
Monteverdi
intimate
madrigal.
with Monteverdi. I've done a
That
couple of his
I
operas.
had
So
not
I know
known
the
before,
style,
but
I'm
I
very
know
intimate
the
with
genre.
Monteverdi.
I
I've
speak
done a couple of his
Italian,
operas.
so
Not
I
fluently,
know the
but I
style.
speak
I
opera
know
Italian.
the genre.
It was very
Speak Italian to me to
not
say,
fluently,
oh
but I
yeah,
speak
definitely, I
opera
could definitely
Italian.
do that.
It was
If
very
he came
comfortable
up to me and said, hey,
to
will you
say,
sing this gospel
oh yeah,
song?
definitely, I could definitely do that.
I'd say,
If he
okay,
came
well,
up to me and
yeah,
said, hey,
I don't
will
have
you
a lot
sing
of
this
experience in
gospel
that, but
song?
let's give it a shot.
I'd be
Let's see what
like,
happens.
I'd say, okay,
This, I
well,
was like, heck yeah, I could
I don't
totally
have a
do
lot
that.
of
And he
experience in
knew
that, but let's give
that
it a
I could
shot. Let's
totally
see what
do that
happens.
as well. So
This, I was like, heck yeah, I could totally do that. And he
singing
knew
this
that I could
basically
totally do that as
folk
well.
song
So
from the 17th
when
century.
he was
I knew
singing
exactly
this,
basically
what would work
folk
because of
song
my
from the
background.
17th
So
century.
you're touching on
I
your
knew
background. You went to
exactly what
Juilliard.
would
You've
work
been on the
because of
stages
my
all over the world. I
background.
remember
So you're
when
touching
we
on
were
your
at
background. You went to
the
Juilliard.
dinner
You've
on
been
Thursday
on the
night,
stages
and I
all
was
over
telling
the
you
world.
about
I
it,
remember
Walter.
when
I
we
said, well,
were
you know,
at
he might be at your level.
the dinner on
He's
Thursday night, and I was
played
telling
Carnegie
you about
Hall and
Walter. I
Grant
said, well, you know,
Madison
he
Square
might be at
Garden.
your level.
And you said, well, I played
He's
Carnegie Hall too.
played Carnegie Hall and Grant Madison Square
Then I
Garden.
said, well,
And you said, well, I
probably get along really well. What I would like to ask you to reflect on for people listening to this, in order to get to the point where you and Walter dropped in for people listening to this, with great ease, and I was there watching it, and you and Walter dropped in, and it seemed like you and Walter had been playing together forever, and you stepped up on stage, you were, and it seemed like you and Walter had been playing together forever. When you really let your voice out, you were doing back improvisational work from the mic. When you really let your voice out, Walter was queuing back from the mic. You were queuing. I could see all the skill that was there. In order to get to that level of ease, you were you have spent a lifetime. In order to get to that level of ease, as Walter, you have spent a lifetime to
working
the
on
way
this
practice
as Walter
and work
has.
and imagination and all of those
the way
elements
practice
can bring
and work
somebody
and
to
imagination
the place
and
of
all of
ease,
those
and I'm
elements
also
can
curious
bring
for you to
somebody
reflect
to
on the
people
place
who
of
haven't
ease,
had a
and
lifetime
I'm also
of
curious
practice
for
like
you to
you and
reflect
Walter
on
have, and yet
people
they
who
want
haven't
to
had a
engage
lifetime
in some
of
deeper
practice
practice
like you
just
and Walter
reflect a
have,
bit
and yet they
on the
want
way
to
that you go about
engage in
that.
some deeper practice.
Wow,
Just
that's a
reflect a
great
bit
question.
on the
I
way that
think
you go about that.
thousands of hours of
Wow, that's a great
cultivating
question.
my
I
voice,
think
studying
thousands of
the
hours
great
of
works
cultivating
of history, my voice,
all of that is
studying the
in my
great
background.
works
So
of
yes, there
history.
is a level
All of
of
that is
in my
skill and
background.
study
So
and
yes,
work.
there
I
is
can
a
lean on
level
that a
of
lot, and I've studied
skill and
a vocal
study and
technique that
work.
uses a lot of
I can
scales
lean on that a lot,
and
and I've
turns
studied
and
a
all
vocal
kinds of
technique that uses a lot of scales
complexities
and
that I can
turns
draw
and
upon
all
and just
kinds
drop
of
them in a song.
complexities
That I can draw
take a little
upon
piece of
and
that,
just
little
drop
piece of
them
that,
in a
and put it
song
all together and make something
I call
take a
improvisation.
little piece of that, little piece of that, and
because
put it all
I
together
am
and make
drawing
something
upon that
I call
knowledge
improvisation.
that is so
Because
ingrained in the
I am
body that
drawing
I don't even have to think
upon that
about it anymore.
knowledge that is
And I wouldn't call myself
so
a master
ingrained
by
in the
any
body that
stretch
I
of
don't
the
even have to
imagination,
think
but
about
that
it
is
anymore.
the
And I
path
wouldn't
to
call myself
mastery.
a master by any
So
stretch of the imagination,
I
but
continue
that
to
is
study
the
that every single
path
day.
to
Mastery my
mastery.
scales. I
So
study new pieces
I
of music.
continue to study
I'm
that every
always
single day. I
expanding
sing
my scales.
that
I
part.
study
But
new
the
pieces
other
of
part
music.
that
I
is
am
really important
always
to expand
expanding
is the heart,
that part.
of course.
But the
Right?
other
So
part
we have
that is
to
really important to expand
tune
is
into
the heart,
ourselves,
of
how
course.
we feel, how
Right?
it makes
So we
us
have
feel,
to
and then
tune into ourselves,
express
how
that,
we feel,
however
how
that
it
comes
makes us
through.
feel.
It could be through
And
words, it
then
could be through voice, it could be
express
through
that,
music,
however
it
that
could be through
comes
art,
through,
light,
it could be through
textures,
words, it could be
all
through
kinds
voice,
of
it could be
mediums,
through
right?
music,
But
it
the
could be
important
through
thing is
art,
how do we
light,
express
textures,
our
all
feelings,
kinds of
and
mediums, right?
when
But the
we
important thing
know
is
how
how
we
do we
feel, when we're
express our
connected to
feelings,
ourselves, when
and
we're
when
connected
we are
to
know how we
the
feel,
greater
when we're
world
connected to
around us,
ourselves, when
how we
we're
can bring that across
connected
in the most effective
to
way.
the
Sometimes that
greater
takes a
world
little bit
around
of
us, how we can bring
engineering
that
in our
across in the
minds,
most
but a lot of
effective way.
times you take the
And
intellect
sometimes
out
that takes a
and
little
let the
bit
heart
of
and body sing.
engineering in our
That
minds, but a lot of
is
times
where
you take the
true
intellect
beauty
out
comes from.
and let
That's
the
what
heart
people
and
want to
body
connect
sing.
with. That
So as
is
an
where
artist,
true beauty
you're
comes
saying
from. That's what people want to
you
connect
may
with.
take a while
So
to
as an artist, you're
be
saying
designated as a master.
you may take a while
But
to
as a
be
practitioner
designated
of
as a
the
master.
process, but
The
as a feelings that you
practitioner
get,
of the
regardless
process,
of where you are in
the
that feelings that
hierarchy
you
of
get,
beginner all the way to
regardless
master,
of where you are
those
in
feelings
that, can be
hierarchy
achieved by
of
anybody.
beginner all the way to
Definitely. And I
master,
believe everyone
those
has this creative
feelings
capacity
Can
within
be
them.
achieved by anybody.
And finding that
Definitely.
passion
And I
is the
believe
number
everyone has this
one
creative capacity
way
within
to
them.
access
And finding
your
that passion is the
expression, your
number
skill,
one
your beauty,
way
how
to
you can
access
communicate
your
with others, how you can
expression,
connect
your
with
skill,
others.
your
If you're
beauty,
an
how you
artist
can
and you're
communicate
a
with
singer,
others,
or
how
you're
you can
a
connect
poet,
with
or
others.
you're
If you're an
a
artist
storyteller
and you're
or an actor,
a singer,
you're
or
taking
you're
your
a poet, or
participants, I'd
you're
like to call
a
them instead of
storyteller
your
or
audience,
an actor,
you're taking them through your participants, I'd like to call them
they
instead
are
of your audience.
experiencing this
You're taking them through
process with you.
So you know what the end of the story is.
They are
but they don't know that.
experiencing this
You don't want to
process with you.
necessarily
So you know what the
give
end of
away
the
the end of
story
the
is,
story as
but
you're
they don't
telling
know
it.
that.
You
They
don't
want to
want
be
to
part
necessarily
of,
give
here
away the
comes
end of the
with this
story as you're
something we're
telling it.
they
Weaving
want to be
together.
part of.
And so it's not about the
here
product.
comes with this something
It's
we're
about the
weaving
process,
together,
being
and
present.
so it's not about the
with
product.
the process.
It's
If you're
about
telling
the
a story
process.
and you're
Being
just kind of
present
reciting it
with the
right,
process.
that's not effective.
If you're
People
telling a
don't
story
come
and
with
you're
you
just kind of
when
reciting
you
it,
have something
right,
memorized
that's not
and
effective.
it's kind of
People
by
don't
rote.
come with
like,
you.
okay, I've sung
When
this song
you
100
have
times,
something
I could
memorized
sing it
in
in my
it's
sleep.
kind of by rote.
Like,
Where's
okay, I've
the
sung this
story?
song 100
That's what we
times, I
connect
could
to.
sing it in my
That's the
sleep.
process. That's being present
Where's the
with what
story?
you're
That's what we
presenting,
connect to.
right?
That's the
Yeah,
process.
and you
That's
give me
being
an
present
idea
with what you're
when we were
presenting.
sitting
right?
in Eden Hall.
Yeah, and you give
watching
me an
idea
Walter
when
make his music.
we were sitting
was there
in
on
Eden
stage,
Hall, and Walter's quite
watching
compelling.
Walter
You can
make his
listen to
music.
Walter sing for a
He was
long
there on
time
stage,
and be very
and
happy
Walter's
that
quite
you're
compelling.
there. You can
And then
listen
when he
to Walter sing for a
called you
long
up,
time, and
we were
be very
sitting
happy
there
that you're
in
there.
our little group group where you were, David was there, Paul, and
we were
I was
sitting
there in our little group where you were, David was there, Paul,
and the moment you
I was
rose
there,
to
and
go to the
we
stage, saw you get up, joined the story, and the moment part of that rose to go to the stage, when you stepped up and joined the story, we were part of that story. Clearly, and it felt good for you, and it showed on your face. Your work with Walt. It felt good for Walt because he was smiling. It felt good for you, and it showed seriously at the same time having. It felt good for Walt because he was collaboration began seriously. I noticed at the same time having the audience as the collaboration. People were looking around at each other and they were smiling. The audience, David reached out and bumped people were looking around at each other and they were smiling. I was like, David reached out and bumped my fist. Paul, look at Walter, man, that is so great. I was like, Deborah's up there too. And I'm sitting there thinking, I was feeling very pleased with myself. Man, that is so great. Deborah's up there too. We were having, and I was feeling very pleased with myself because I helped set it up. Because the whole thing, we were having felt this collective experience. And when something feels good, because the whole thing, what do you want? Felt good. You want to do more of it. And when something feels good, we were all enjoying the story. You want to do more of it. And that so we were all, I think, what you're getting at. This is what is important. And that is exactly. I think what you're getting at. This is what is important.
What I mean by present, we're in the now. Right?
Exactly.
We talk about being in the now.
And there's nothing but the now.
What I mean by present, we're in the now.
Right? We talk about being
in the now. And there's nothing but the now.
So
when we can access that, not be in the past meditation, I'll call it. Like people think, oh, I can't meditate.
That's a level
I can't ever
meditation.
I'll call it.
Like
people think, oh, I
can't
meditate.
I can't ever really just being present, sit and what's going on right now in this moment. And I do that through music. You do that through poetry. What's going on right now? David does that through, and I do that through storytelling. You do that through poetry. Paul does that through David does that through. I'm just picking out random people, but we all. Paul does that through his painting. I'm just picking out random people, but we all right. What we're that to be is a meditative space. The place where we create. So when I can access that, and that to be is a meditative space. Observing. So when I can access that, this is why people like to hang out with. The audience is observing, and someone being in the master meditators. This is why people like to hang out with qigong masters, because these masters can lead us in that master qigong masters, because these masters can lead us as well. Artists can do this as well. I believe if we're present, then we can lead our artists. Audience can do this as well. Present, because if we're present, then we can lead our. It's a real gift that a lot of people feel that they can't access as well, and that is.
I'm curious about
that a lot of people feel that they can't access.
Master. And I'm curious about, I'm not a master yet. This idea of, but I've done all this work. Walter's not a master, or maybe he is a master yet. But I've done all this work. Walter's not a master, or maybe he is a master. Is it overdone? Have we given it too much weight? And I'm going to study with the master guru, and then I'll walk away with weight, a feeling that I'm going to study with the master given to me, and then I'll walk away of the experience with the master, feeling that at that the experience I had with you, because of the experience with the master, Paul, and the rest of us sitting around, and some other people I had with you and Walter that were sitting with Paul, and the rest of us sitting around, and some other people that were local that were sitting with us, mastery. We experienced, because we were sitting there, a collective mastery. That mastery, because we were sitting there together, that mastery, like consciousness. Maybe if we participate in it, that we're experiencing like the collective mastery. If we participate in it, we're of humanity, perhaps the mastery of infinity, the mastery of universal presence, perhaps the mastery of infinity, the mastery of the universal presence.
Because we always interesting topic, and you're making me aspire to something greater. Otherwise, why are we always here? Right. So aspire to something greater. Otherwise, why are we here? Right. So if you want to be a better golfer, look to others for inspiration. Observe a great golfer. Right? If you want to be a better golfer, okay, what are they doing that's better than what I'm doing right now? How can I improve? And you see, okay, what are they doing that's better than what I'm doing right now? We don't necessarily want to be like them, but we want to be better than what we are like ourselves. And we don't necessarily want to be like what we have, but we want to be better than what we are. So when I think about, so this is an example of what some of the great masters that I have. So when I think about some of the great singers, some of the great masters, and I go way back to the 1920s, some of the great earliest recordings that I go way back to the 1920s, and some of the earliest recordings that we have. I listen to those singers, and I just like that sound. I like sing very differently than the modern singers. And the simplicity. And I just like that sound. I like the the freedom and the ease and the simplicity.
That's the level of mastery that I'm seeking as a vocalist. That's the level of mastery that I'm seeking. I look as to a vocalist. The mastery of someone like Amma, the hugging saint. I look to the mastery of someone like Amma, the hugging saint. That who
real humility that a true master has that, because a master isn't necessarily about
that a true master has.
I'm so good at
because
this,
a master isn't necessarily
you
about
and you'll be better.
I'm so good at this, I can bestow this upon you,
so
and you'll be better.
Spiritual
a true master has true humility.
Sought.
So have that level of humanity and
that I
laughter
have
and
sought,
playfulness and sweetness.
Have that level
when mastery
of
really
humanity
comes through,
and
it's
laughter and
playfulness,
the effortlessness
in my singing
mastery
that
really
I
comes
seek
through. It
comes from
the effortlessness
practice, but
in
also
my
the
singing
letting go
that I
That's
seek.
the balance. We
Comes
strive to
from
something,
the
but
practice,
then we
but
let
also
it
the
go.
letting go.
So
That's
that
the balance.
the
We strive to something,
nature
but
of
then we let
pure
it
mastery,
go. So that
divine
the
inspiration
or
pure mastery,
the universal
divine
perfection
inspiration
of the way
or,
everything
the universal
as it is,
perfection
to
of the way everything
share with others, to
is
create with
as it
others,
is,
to
be in the
share
presence
with others,
of
to create with
others,
others.
As I'm
to
sitting here listening to
be in
you
the
talk
presence
about this,
of
I'm
others.
doing an inventory
As I'm
of
sitting
people
here
that I
listening
have
to you
encountered
talk about
this, who
I'm
doing an inventory
may or may not
of
be
people that I
masters,
have
and it occurs to me I
encountered
haven't come across that
who
many that I thought were masters.
may or may not be
That's
masters.
not my.
and
That's
it occurs to me I
my
haven't come across
lack,
that
not
many that I
because
thought were
I
masters.
haven't met a lot of people.
That's not my.
Or
Maybe I
that's
didn't know they
my
were masters.
lack, not
You are
because I
saying
haven't
that
met a
you
lot of
have
people.
been
Or
around
maybe I
people
didn't
who
know
are
they were
masters.
masters.
And
I'm
you are
wondering
saying
that you have
when you've
been around
these
people who are
people,
masters.
do
They
and I'm
know
wondering
they're
when
masters,
you've been around these
or
people,
would they be having a conversation with
they
us saying,
know
"Gee, I need to find
they're
some
masters?
masters myself," or would they
At
be
what
having a conversation with
does-
us saying,
does
"Gee,
it
I need to
stop, or
find
does
some
it
masters
ever-
myself"? Are even
at
the
what
masters looking for
point
masters? Does it stop, or does it
I'm
ever?
sure they are.
Are
I
even
would
the
think so.
masters looking
There's
for masters?
always room for growth. There's
Yeah,
always room
I'm
for
sure they are.
improvement, right? I would think
This is
so.
what we're doing.
There's
This is our
always
soul
room for
path,
growth. There's
is
always room for
expanding and
improvement,
growing.
right?
This is what we're doing. This is our
Whether
soul
we
path.
need to
is
meet a master,
expanding and
or
growing.
whether we can find it within ourselves,
Whether we
and honestly, I
need
think
to
that's
meet a
probably the
master,
best
or
way
whether
to
whether
do it
we can
is
find it within
feel within,
ourselves
and
honestly,
say,
I think that's
I
probably the
believe
best
that I
way
can do this.
to do it is
And
feel
it's
within
great to have
and
examples
say, okay, I
and
believe
people
that
we
I
can
can
look
do
up
this.
to, but it's also
And it's
really
great to have
important to
examples
look up
and
to
people that we
yourself,
can look up to,
and
but it's
to
also
find
really important
within
to
you
look up
the
to
love, the
yourself,
self-compassion,
and
the
to
self-empathy,
find
to
within
not
you
be
the love,
perfect,
the
to
self-compassion,
be where
the
you are in the
self-empathy,
moment,
to
wherever it is
not
that you
be
are
perfect,
in your
to
journey,
be where you
and
are
if
in
you
the
feel
moment,
like
wherever it
I've
is that
reached
you
a certain
are
level
in your
of
journey,
mastery or
and if you
refinement
feel
of this
like,
okay,
gift
I've reached
or
a certain
talent that I've been
level
trying to
of mastery
cultivate,
or
I can feel
refinement
good
of
about this.
this
I can get up on
gift
stage now.
or
I can share
talent
this.
that I've been trying
I
to
can
cultivate.
have fun with it.
I
I can feel good about this. I
mold
can
it
get up
and
on
meld
stage
it
now. I can share
try something
this.
new with
I
it
can have fun
and
with it.
maybe
I can
throw it out
mold it
completely and do
meld it
something completely different.
Try something new
Within
with it.
all of
And
that, this
maybe
mastery
throw it out
comes
completely
the
and do
freedom.
something completely
So all
different.
that
Within
work I did
all of that,
technically
mastery
to
comes the
cultivate
freedom.
my
So
voice.
all that
From
work I
that
did
discipline
technically
comes
to
freedom.
practicing
Cultivate
of
my
meditating
voice.
of
From
whatever it is
that
you're
discipline
looking
comes
to
freedom.
improve, practicing of
Comes.
meditating of whatever it is you're looking
naturally,
to improve,
I think.
comes.
You clearly
It
have spent a
emerges
lot of time
naturally,
developing
I
this.
think.
You have
clearly
many
have
more
spent
miles
a
to
lot of
go,
time developing
and
this.
you are developing
You
all
have
the time. You're
many
thinking
more
about
miles
it.
to go,
Where is it going to take me
and
next?
you are
Dialing
developing
back to
all
when
the
you
time you're
first
thinking about
started.
it,
Where
and
is it going
keeping
to
the
take me
idea
next?
of mastery in
Dialing
mind.
back to when
I suspect
there
there
are
are people
started
out there who
and
would say
keeping
that
the
you
idea of mastery
maybe
in mind.
have approached
I suspect
mastery.
there are people out
Some
there
might
who
claim
would
that
say
for
that
you, even though you
maybe
might not
have
claim it
approached
for yourself,
mastery.
or you might.
Some
I don't
might
know.
claim that for
There are
you,
beats
even though
along
you
the
might
way
not
that
claim
take
it
you
for
in
yourself,
that
or you
direction
might.
of
I
the
don't know.
horizon. There are
We're always
beats
behaving
along
in the
the way
direction
that
of
take you in that
excellence.
direction
So
of
as
the
you were
horizon.
moving through
We're
your
always behaving
career,
in the direction of
do you have little
excellence.
stories?
So
or do
as
have
you
some,
were moving
some
through
stories
your
you could
career,
tell about when
do you have
you
little stories,
knew
or do you have some
beyond
some
a
stories you
doubt
could
that
tell
you had moved
about
to
when
another level and you
knew
felt it? Beyond
what
a
happened?
doubt that
Where
you had
were you?
moved to another
How did it
level
look?
and you
How did you
felt
prepare
it.
for that?
And then
What
the payoff
happened?
came when
Where
you
were
knew
you?
it.
How
Okay.
did it look? How did you prepare for that?
I hit
And
the
then the
ball out of the
payoff
park.
came when you
Yes,
knew it.
that note was the note
I did well
wanted to give the
tonight.
people.
I hit the ball out of the park.
Yes,
Yeah.
that note
So one of the
was the note I wanted to give the people.
experiences was actually in my undergrad college experiences was actually in my undergrad all through school. College. So when I was little tot, I've always been, in a music rang program bells in the bell choir. I sang. When I was little tot, learned the saxophone. I was in the marching band. I was in the bells in the bell choir. I sang. I did all the musicals. Learned the saxophone. I was in the marching band. I was in the jazz band. I wanted to be a choir. I did all the musicals. So it was anything. I got into college. I got a great scholarship. I wanted to be a part of. I was like, okay. So the world is kind of I got into college. I got a great scholarship. I was like, okay. So go ahead. Let's do this. Kind of saying yes. So in college, you should be a singer. Go ahead. Let's do this. And so in Carmina Burana, which is a Carl Orff piece that probably everyone's heard, even if they don't know the title of it, even if they don't know this piece, everyone's heard that I'm speaking of. If they don't know the title of it, even if they don't know this piece and TVs, and that I'm speaking of. One of the great choral you've heard it. I guarantee it's on commercials and TVs ever written. And one of the great solos in it, and I was assigned one of the solos ever written. And there are a few solos in it. It was in front of the whole entire campus. It was in the big theater. I was super excited. Everybody was coming. It was in front of the whole entire celebration. It was in the big theater. Anniversary celebration for the university. It was part of the big deal. A celebration with orchestra. Anniversary celebration for the university. Everybody was there. Big deal. So I was really excited to be a part of this. Everybody was there. So I was really at the same time trying to balance my mother's illness. And she was dying also at the same time trying to balance my mother's illness. I would go home. She was dying of cancer to be with her. So and then come back to school and do all my work on the weekends to be with her. And then this particular weekend come back to school and do all my work. Was the performance weekend. And then my mother passed away that weekend. It was performance, and was the performance weekend. Everyone expected that my mother passed away that week. To sing the solo that I wouldn't be able to attend the concert. That I would be able to sing with my family. Wouldn't be able to attend the concert. That I would want to be with my family. I also really wanted to sing all of. So part I did want to be with my family, process of my mother passing away. I also really wanted to sing. Was me part of the process of my mother passing away. When it came time for my solo to come up in this concert, my mother's gone. When it came time for my solo to come, would normally be in the audience. And I never missed. My mother's gone. My parents, would normally be in the audience. Was not able to be there. Performance. My sister and my brother-in-law and was not able to be there. Patrick wasn't able to be there. My brother-in-law and their son, and it was one of the highlights of my life because what happened was, and it was one of the highlights of my life because what happened was, and it was beyond, I felt this light beyond a human experience. And I wouldn't say it was beyond, my mother came into the room that was the light of human God. I wouldn't say, and I wouldn't say my mother came into the room that was the light of God. I wouldn't say spiritual spirit ghost anything happened. My heart opened, and this light thing happened. And what I remember of singing this piece, and this light was through this me. And what I remember of singing this piece moment was this all of the sound, the vibrations of that moment, the chorus, the vibrations of the music, the vibrations of the violins came and embraced me. The vibrations of the music, the vibrations felt like I was floating in the air with me. This light and vibration felt like I was floating in the air, and it was beyond anything I'd ever experienced. It was real vibration of the moment. And it was beyond anything I'd ever experienced. It was real, and I've drawn on that for every performance enlightening experience, because that is where I dissolved for every performance since. Audience dissolved. That is where I everything dissolved into this moment of perfect dissolved. The musicians, everything dissolved into this moment of perfect
something about mastery that's important. That suggests
it goes well beyond
something about mastery
the notes you sing.
Important. Something else
it goes well
there.
Beyond
something you allowed, something
you invited
out
you
there, something you allowed to experience, or maybe you were a bit stunned or afraid to experience.
Thrilled to
whatever it
experience,
was,
or maybe you were a bit stunned or afraid
so
to
there was
experience.
more to the art.
Whatever it was,
then
just
you let it happen. So there was more to the art. You took the stage at Leaf. You were there in a moment of what seemed like stage at Leaf. You were there
for both of you.
And I know that
Walter's
what seemed like
does a lot of work around
for both of you. And I know that Walter's Walter does a lot of work around the gospel. He's a lot of profound questions around spirituality that he's attempting to answer through his music. You stepped on that stage. You didn't just step up there to answer through his music. You stepped on that stage. You didn't just step up there to play with a guy who's playing music. I can't tell you how many hundreds of hours of conversations. I've known Walter 20 what spirituality means, what God tell you how many hundreds of hours of conversations around what spirituality means, what God means. Those questions, but you also entered in those questions with your questions as well, and those questions. But you also entered on that stage with your questions as well. You and Walter combined on that stage. So to me, what you and Walter did without a doubt for me Friday night moment concert, pure mastery. Without a doubt, and your mother, me, clearly in that moment was there, pure mastery. And Walter's family and your mother clearly was there.
And I think that's the moment
Walter's
of oneness.
Family was there as well.
I think that's the moment of oneness.
That's the meditative state. That we all strive for connection with the collective consciousness. Meditative state. And I'm pointing to this part of my head because when I experience the collective consciousness, my awareness of being aware. And I'm pointing to this part of my head because when I experience aware, my awareness of being aware. All we know. Pure awareness. We don't know anything of being aware. Other than really through our senses, all we know, right? Other than we through our touch, our sound, our else, our hearing, our taste, our feelings, right? Other than through our touch, our sound, an illusion, our hearing, our taste, our feeling, right? If all of that, the only thing that we truly it's been argued that is that we are aware. Then and the only thing that we truly know is that we are aware. The source of consciousness. And that sense of awareness some people call it God, some people call it universal wisdom, some people call it some people call it God, whatever, some people call it universal wisdom, want to call it. I think it's a enlightenment, whatever experience for humanity. Want to call it? I think it's we are seeking that universal experience for humanity and for humans. We are seeking that. I can access that through music and. That's when I feel like the access that through music, most beautiful. That's when I feel like creation truest comes through most, me. And I'm a beautiful vessel, I'm a channel, creation, oracle, comes whatever you want to call it. And I'm a vessel, not me. I'm a channel. So I am not the master. Oracle, whatever you want to call it, is singing. It's not me. And so I am not in that moment when two people come together, right? And I think there's a in that line in the Bible when two or more of you come together in my name, something like that, right? Line in the Bible when two or more of you come together in my name, something like that, right? It's that kind of experience when we come together. In that, we can be one. We can embrace each other. We can melt into. We can be one. We can embrace each other. We can melt into. And that is what I attain. Oneness. I strive to attain in all of my performances. And that is what I go to practice. I strive to attain in all of my performances. And every time I go to practice, every time I go to perform, I say intention mantra that says, or prayer, may this moment serve my awareness so that I may serve others. That says, in their awareness. May this moment serve my awareness so that I may serve others.
Often in these conversations I have with folks like
in their awareness,
working at the level that you work at. Often in these conversations I have with folks like you, the word home comes out as the level that you work at. Could you reflect on the word home comes out as it did with you just now? And the sensibilities that the nature of commitment you have to art and the sensibility. So it is true. And you have to art the Leaf. Add to that sensibility. So it is true. When we were there at the Leaf, I felt a sense of belonging. I felt a sense of home. You became what you were. Walter's guest. I'm supposed to be here. A belonging. I felt a sense of home. So give me some sense of I'm supposed to be here feel about home and what it means to you. Give me some sense of how it fits in with your sensibilities about the art and what it means to you and how it fits in with your sensibilities around the art that you practice. I have been kind of nomadic. I so love that this is coming up right now because I have been kind of nomadic for the last couple of years. Home outside, and I haven't really myself felt home. A sense where do I call physical the place home, that I live? Outside is that myself home? I happen to be living in all these different places that I live. All over the place. Is that home? So I happen to be living in a little bit feeling like where do I belong? How do I fit in this world?
a little bit feeling like, where do I belong?
What does home
How
really
do I
mean? And I've
fit in
been
this
struggling
world?
with that
Where can
question
I
for the last
contribute?
couple of years.
What does home really
So I
mean?
love that
And
it's
I've
coming to
been
this
struggling
moment,
with
and I
that
almost
question
answered my
for
own
the last couple
question.
of years.
So I love that it's
just this
coming to
past
this moment, and I
ago
almost
where
answered my own
home is
question
actually
just this
in
past moment
presence with
ago,
the state of
where
awareness.
home is
You can be at home
actually
anywhere
in
if you can
presence with the
access
state
that
of awareness.
sense
You can
of
be at home
I am aware,
anywhere
and if you can access that
sense of awareness has traveled
of
with you since
I
you
am
were
aware,
born.
and well, we didn't
That
consciously
sense of
know it
awareness
at the
has
time when we were
traveled with
born,
you since
but
you were born.
that sense of
Well,
awareness
we didn't consciously
has
know it
not
at the
changed
time when we were born.
since the moment
but
we were born through our
that
childhood.
sense of awareness
through
has not changed
our teenage years,
since the moment we
through
were
our
born,
20s,
through our
30s, 40s,
childhood,
wherever we are in our
through
lives, our
that
teenage
sense
years,
of
through our
I
20s,
am,
30s, 40s,
I am
wherever
aware.
we are in our
This
lives,
that sense
connection
of
to
I
conscious
am,
awareness
I am aware
has not changed.
This
Everything else has changed. Our
connection
bodies have
to
changed. The
conscious
politics
awareness
have changed. The earth
has
has
not
changed.
changed.
Everything
Weather,
else
oh
has
my
changed.
gosh,
Our
the weather
bodies have
changes all the
changed.
time,
The
right? So
politics have changed. The
the
earth
only
has
thing that
changed.
doesn't
Weather,
change
oh my God,
is
the
our
weather
sense
changes all the
of
time, right?
I
So
am.
the
And
only thing
that
that
is
doesn't
home.
change
That's
is our
what we're all
sense
looking
of
for.
I
And
am.
that's why people
And
sit in
that
meditation,
is home.
and that's what we're all looking for.
Want
And that's
to
why people sit in
experience that sense
meditation,
of
and
I am at home. I am at
one
want
with
to experience that
all.
sense
I
of
am dissolved
I
into
am
the
at home.
allness
I
of
am at
everything.
one with
That
to
all.
me
I am
is
dissolved into the
the
allness of everything.
molecules, how molecules come together and
That to
create
me
stuff,
is
right? So
the
then,
molecules, how
it's the
molecules
allness
come
of
together and
everything,
create stuff.
and it's also the
Right.
nothingness.
So then
It's the
everybody's,
allness of everything.
we call it different things,
and it's
but
also
once
the
you have this
nothingness.
experience,
So
you know,
we call it different
what
things,
home
but once you
is.
have this
If I can help
experience,
people experience that
through my
you
music,
know what
through my
home
workshops,
is.
through
If I can help
my
people
voice
experience
lessons, through my
that
teachings,
through my
whatever I
music,
can,
through my
however
workshops,
that
through
form can
my
come,
voice
and
lessons,
everybody
through my
learns
teachings,
differently.
whatever
Everybody
I
needs a
can, however
different
that
path.
form can come, and everybody
Not
learns
necessarily needs a
differently.
different
Everybody
path,
needs a different.
there are many ways up
path,
the mountain, but the top
not
is the same.
necessarily needs a different
Right?
path.
I'm sure
but
you've heard that.
There are many ways up the
before.
mountain, but the top is the same.
What? How do
Right?
we
I'm sure
get
you've heard
to
that
home?
before.
We have to go in. We have to go. How do we get to home? And then we can be at home anyway. We have to go in.
Yeah,
we
I've
have
heard
to go
people
within.
in the acting world
And then
say
we can be at home
intimacy is
anywhere.
into me
Yeah, I've heard
see. People in the acting
I'm
world
going to
say
invite you to
intimacy
see
is into me see. And when I invite you to do that,
I'm
it's
going
a
to
little bit
invite you to
vulnerable
see
because I'm
into
inviting you into
me.
those private spaces.
And
And when I invite you to do that, it's a little bit vulnerable
because
private.
I'm inviting you into those
Home
private spaces that I might
also
want to
brings
keep
to mind
private.
the home
Problems that we have
also
in our culture
brings
around
to mind
loneliness.
because when I feel
problems
like
that we have
don't
in our
have
culture
a
around
place
loneliness,
where I belong,
because
when I feel like I don't have a place
can
where
you
I
reflect
belong,
a bit on
I
the
can be
relationship between
lonely.
the belonging that
Can
you
you
feel,
reflect a
or the
bit
belonging
on
that we felt,
the
at
relationship
Leaf
between
when you
the
and Walter were on
belonging that you
stage? I felt like
feel,
I was at
belonging
home.
that we
I
felt
could have been
at
in
Leaf
your living
when you
room,
and Walter were on stage.
or you could have
I
been
felt
in
like I
my
was at
living
home.
room.
We were
I could have been
embracing each other. We
in
were
your living
holding each
room.
other. We
Or
were
you could have been in my
love.
living room.
We were embracing each
In
other.
that
We were
beautiful
holding
sense of
each
what
other.
being,
We were
in it. We were in the love of the moment.
in that beautiful
Yes.
sense
Often
of
at
what
Leaf, they
being,
refer
we
to
were
Leaf
in it.
love, but
We
I
were
love
in
being
the
in
love
love
of the
because being in
moment.
love with your sweetheart is a great
Often at
thing.
Leaf,
No
they refer to
complaints.
Leaf
But
love,
to be
I love
in
being in love because being in love with your sweetheart is a great thing. No complaints.
That's home.
But to be
Loneliness
in love
is
to be
part
surrounded
of
by
that's
that
home
experience,
loneliness
because we sometimes can
is
reflect on our
part
loneliness
of
and have the
that
contrast
experience.
Do you
because
have
we
any
sometimes
thoughts on loneliness
can
at
reflect on
all?
our
What is
loneliness
that?
and
How
have the
does that
contrast.
factor in? Do you have any thoughts on loneliness at all? What
I
is
love
that?
the
How does
concept,
that factor
concepts
in?
in Taoism where there's
for sure.
dark
So,
and light,
I love
the
the
balance of the
concept-
opposites, right?
concepts in
So we
Taoism
can't
where there's
really
dark and light,
understand
the balance of the
and
opposites,
home.
right? So
we
without
can't really
feeling
understand
isolated
love
and lonely.
and home
So
without
this is why we live in a
feeling
world of
isolated
duality.
and
We are
lonely.
learning. So
From
this is why we
duality,
live in a world of duality.
the sense of
we are
oneness.
learning
When I think about
from
loneliness,
duality. The
it's
sense
such
of
a
oneness.
human emotion.
When I
It's-
think about
and it's
loneliness,
ripe
it's such
with
a
creativity.
human emotion.
We can
It's-
write
and
about our
it's
loneliness. We can
ripe
really dig
with
into
creativity.
we can
What does it
write
sound
about our
like? What does it
loneliness. We
feel
can
like?
really
And
dig
just
into
let
to
ourselves.
the
What does it
feel
sound like? What
that
does it feel
sense
like?
of loneliness,
And
the
just
grief that comes from feel that not being able to love the way we want to love. That comes from the definition of grief. Not being able to love the way we want to love. That's what the definition of grief is. Allowing ourselves to feel our feelings fully.
allows us to feel the opposite feelings fully as well. Allows us to allow ourselves the grief, the loneliness, the fear, the shame. So if we allow ourselves, we don't deny it, we don't try to stuff it, we don't try to suppress it. We let it come through. We don't deny it. We don't try to stuff it. We don't try to suppress it. We let it come through. Foist it on another and expect them to fix us or help us, or necessarily foist it on another and expect them to fix us or help others, or companionship, or we bring empathy to, but we don't necessarily. We don't want to dump it on others. Companionship or empathy. So, but we don't necessarily. We don't want to dump it on others and expect them to fix us. These when deeper, darker do want emotions, to express feelings, these deeper, darker, to transmute emotions into something that we can. As artists, it's important to share with others something so that they can feel loneliness. As artists, they can feel share with others. Empathy, so that they can feel loneliness. That certain they can feel speak to us. Certain poems speak to us. Why we love certain movies. That certain songs and others don't speak to us because speak to us. Certain stories, resonance, movies somehow to and others don't speak to us because and if we can somehow express and experience what's being expressed and emotions, if we can. That we don't necessarily like. We'd love to push them away. We'd like to get rid of it. We don't want to feel sad. We don't necessarily like. Hide our tears. We'll hide ourselves. Like to get rid of it. We don't want to hide the parts of ourselves that we don't necessarily want other people to see. Hide ourselves, like you said. We hide the parts of ourselves that we don't necessarily want other people to see. And saying they are so normal. They are so human. They are actually incredibly beautiful. And saying they are so normal. They are so human. They are. If you can transmute them and then you can experience joy and you can transmute them, elation, you can experience joy and love and peace, elation and enlightenment. You can experience all of this because you have come through the chaos, the turmoil. You can experience all of this because you have come through the chaos, human emotion, turmoil, the sadness, the depth of that human emotion. We're doing on this planet. To experience the other side.
And I'm curious about loneliness even more. That you've spoken to it a bit. And I'm curious about loneliness even more. This as you've spoken to it a bit. That comes knocking at the door. I thought of loneliness as a character at the door. That comes knocking at the door. Knock, knock. Work with loneliness knocking at the door is to invite it in. The best way to let it tell. Work with loneliness knocking at the door is to invite it in and let it tell. We've arranged our homes so well that we have room now. We've arranged our homes and be part so well where we live. We have room now for you to enter and be part of loneliness as a valuable guest at the supper table. I've not thought of loneliness as a valuable guest at the, as Charles Wright describes it in his poem. I've often thought of loneliness special, as Charles Wright describes it in the middle of Montana. What you're hiking, you stumble on it. It's some rundown cabin in the middle of Montana. And you look out, what you're hiking, you stumble on it. The window of the cabin, gloomy, and you feel the sense of loneliness crawling under the skin. The window of the cabin, and you feel the sense of loneliness crawling beyond the window's reach and the fire's glare. And the emptiness, the loneliness is something beyond the window's reach and the fire's glare. Crawling under the skin. So the loneliness is what if it's not enemy almost? The loneliness crawling under the skin. What if it's the emotional opportunity? What if it's not you have to enrich your life? What if it's the emotional opportunity? A warmer hearth you have to enrich your life with a warmer hearth.
Yes.
In the home.
Yes, I love that so much.
A new interesting guest.
And then you never have to be lonely. Yes, I love that
or
so
if
much.
You do feel a bit of loneliness,
and then you never have to be lonely.
Look at it a little differently. Or if you do feel a bit of loneliness, you change it so look at it a little differently. And in a way, if you have that look, you're right. You will never have to be lonely. It changes so because you've changed this value. And in a way, if you have that look, you're right. You will never have to be lonely because you've changed this value. Insight. We have just a few more minutes. That's interesting. So in our last bit of time, we have just a few more minutes to go. Tell us a bit about bit of time together, Deborah. I'd like for you to going now. Tell us a bit about Santa Fe, where you are going lots and lots of opportunities and connections. Living in Santa Fe, talented things to do. You do a lot of work. Lots and lots of opportunities. Tell us what your work is now, and where you hope things to do. You do a lot of work. The kind of people. Tell us what your work is now, and where that might lead you in the next
kind of
couple
people
of years.
that you're interacting with now, and
thank you so
and
much
where
for
that
asking that,
might
because I'm
lead you
super
in the next
excited
couple of
about
years.
many things that I'm
Thank you so
up
much
to,
for asking that, because
and I
I'm
have
super
so many
excited about
concepts and
many
ideas,
things that
I have
I'm
business
up
plans
to,
I've written,
and I have so
again,
many
I get
different
concepts
I
and
like get up
ideas,
all
and
in my
I have
head, and
business
I'm
plans I've
excited
written,
about
and
everything, and
again,
then
I get woo,
and
I
so
like get up all in my
written out
head,
all
and
these
I'm
programs
excited about
with
everything,
the
and then agendas and
and so
itineraries and
I've
blah, blah, blah.
I've written out all
And
these programs.
now I'm at the stage where I'm just kind of letting it
agendas and
go,
itineraries
and
and blah, blah, blah.
seeing and
what
now
comes.
I'm at the stage where I'm just kind of letting it
the
go,
concepts
and
that I'm
really working
what
with
comes.
the goal, the mission,
the concepts
is
that
all the same.
I'm really working
in the
with,
various programs that I want to do.
The goal, the
And
mission,
what
is
it is
all the
is
same
that in the various
communal
programs that I want to do.
creation.
And
so create
what it
spontaneous
is that
creation
communal
with others,
creation.
through
So
improvisation,
create spontaneous
through,
creation
collective
with
consciousness,
others, right?
through
So coming together
improvisation
in
through
a
collective
sense
consciousness.
of, okay,
right?
we're
So
going to
coming
create
together
something. We have no idea what it is. You're going to bring your
sense
talents
of,
or
okay,
interests.
we're going to create
or
something. We have no
whatever,
idea
a
what
piece
it
of
is.
paper.
You're
Bring
going to
whatever
bring your
it is
talents
you
or
want
interests
to bring to
or
this moment.
whatever,
We're
a piece of
tune
paper.
into
Bring whatever it is you
the
want
land
to
the
bring to this
space, the
moment.
air,
We're going to
the
tune
weather,
into
the
walls,
the
the
land,
wood,
the
metal,
space,
the
the
glass,
air,
everything
the weather,
that's in our
the
environment,
walls,
and
the
then
wood,
we'll tune into
the metal, the
ourselves,
glass,
and then we
everything
tune
that's
into
in
each
our
other,
environment, and then we'll
and
tune into
see
ourselves,
what comes through in that
and then we
moment.
tune into each
And
other,
it could be
and
anything.
see what
And
comes
the
through in that
baseline
moment.
will be,
And it
when I
could
say
be
baseline, I
anything.
mean literally
And
like a
the
musical
baseline
baseline will be,
or
when I say
rhythm
baseline,
or
I mean
some sort of
literally like a
vibration
musical
that
baseline
will
or
will
rhythm
help lift
or
some sort of
the entire
vibration that
creation.
will
And when we
help
come
lift
together in the sense
the
of
entire
collective
creation.
creation, and when we
We
come
can
together
create
in the
stuff that
sense
is way
of
beyond anything
collective
that we could do by
creation,
ourselves. We can create stuff that
and
is
you
way
inspire
beyond
me and I
anything
inspire
that we
you,
could do by ourselves.
and
oh, you did
and
this, and what
you
if we,
inspire
what
me
if
and
we
I
did
inspire
that
you,
with what you just did,
and
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 you did
so
this,
I'm
and
working on this
what if we did
concept,
that
and
with
it
what you
could
just
be,
did,
and so I'm working on
held
this
anywhere.
concept,
It could be
and
any
it
age
could
group. It could
be any
held
location,
anywhere.
any
It could
level
be
of
any
talent
age
or
group. It could
non-talent,
be
or
any
location,
creative or
any level of
non-creative.
talent
It could
or
be
non-talent,
for neurodivergent. It could be for
creative or non-creative. It can
anyone
be for
who
neurodivergent.
anyone.
It could
can be
be
for anyone.
the program is very
Anyone
malleable,
who
and
anyone.
so
It can be for anyone.
I
The
just
program
want
is very
people
malleable,
to and
rediscover their creativity.
I
It's
just
not
want people to
not as a skill,
discover,
but as a state
rediscover
of
their
being.
creativity. It's not as a
And
skill,
that deep
but
healing
as a
comes
state
when
of
we
being.
stop performing and start
And
communing.
that deep healing comes when we stop
And
performing.
in the communal experience,
and
we
start
do what we
communing.
naturally are born to do, which is
And
to
in the
make
communal
things.
experience, we do what we
Yes.
naturally are
I
born to
love
do, which
this
is to
idea.
make things.
The blank slate
Yes.
creativity.
I
where
love
you
this
really do
idea.
come with a blank slate.
The blank slate
and
creativity,
you curate it with
where
people
you really
who
do
have
come with a blank slate,
a fair
and
amount of
you
skill, or maybe
curate
not,
it with people who
or
have
maybe a mixture of
a
both.
fair amount of
I'm
skill,
thinking
or maybe
of
not.
our friend Paul Pasquarello, who
or
has a
maybe
great
a
deal of
mixture
skill.
of
I know
both.
people that don't have
thinking
that
of
much
our
skill,
friend
or at
Paul
least they don't
Pasquarello,
think
who
they
has a
do.
great
They
deal
don't
of
think
skill.
they do.
They
I
don't
know
think
people
they do, and
that
that's the
don't have that
key.
much
That is
skill, or at least
indeed
they
the
don't
key.
think they do.
They don't
What's
think they do.
They
You
don't
have to
think
get
they do,
beyond
and
the
that's the
thinking.
key.
well,
That
yeah,
is
yeah, no,
indeed
we
the
certainly
key.
do. Good
But
God,
what's
that's
You have to
please.
get beyond the thinking.
Spare me,
yeah,
Navé.
we certainly do.
Here's
Good
the
God,
here's,
and we're getting very close to the end. But I just wanted to
spare me, Navé.
I'm
Here's the
really
here's, and we're getting very
one of
close
the
to the end.
things
But I
I've
just wanted to
experienced with many creativity
I'm
workshops
really-
that I've taught, and
one of the
writing
things
workshops,
I've
and I
experienced
love
with
all the ones
many
I've done,
creativity
but
workshops
I
that I've taught
haven't
in writing
come across
workshops,
very many,
and I
including
love
the
all
ones
the ones
I
I've done,
facilitated,
but I
where
haven't
you actually
come
have
across very
a
many, including the
driving
ones I
thing going on,
facilitated,
where at the end you're
where
going to have
you actually
artifacts that
have
will be
a
be
driving
present.
thing going on.
We're going to create
going to have
something here,
artifacts that
and we're going to call
be
what we create
at the end.
we're going to
That's gonna
create
be
something
the
here,
art that we've
and we're
generated
going to
from this
call what we
collective
create
energy
at the end.
So you actually
That's going to
have
be
something
the art
to
that we've
show
generated
for it, and the
from this
drive
collective
throughout the whole
energy
week. So you
is to
actually
produce
have
it so that
something
it becomes
to show for it, and the
a piece of
drive
art,
throughout the whole
whatever
week
that
is to produce it so that
it's a
it
collective
becomes
piece of art that
a
arrives
piece
at
of
the
art,
end, whatever that generated by all these people. So it's a collective piece of art that arrives at the end, generated by all photographs, and you can claim credit for art show, film, and combining all the skills, or maybe an art show that the material combining all the skills ends up guarantees at the end of the week will have that the material, that energy, it'll be really at the end of the week will have, I would think, massive amounts of energy. You're headed with this? Really, really
absolutely
engaging. That's really smart, I would think.
And what's
is
really
that where
important,
you're
like
headed
I
with
said,
this?
is not the
Absolutely.
product.
Yeah,
it is the process for creating whatever it is we're going to create. So it doesn't matter what the actual creation is for creating whatever it is we're going to create. So it doesn't matter what the actual creation is. It's the creative process. It's the process.
The whole process becomes the art form.
Yes,
it's the creative
exactly.
Process. There you go.
The whole
Like
process
the little,
becomes the art form. The little woolly worm that becomes the butterfly.
There you go.
That's
like the
right.
little,
we're just little woolly worms at the end,
that
aren't we,
becomes
Deborah?
the butterfly.
That's right.
We are butterflies.
We're just little woolly
end.
worms at the end, aren't we, Deborah?
Yes, in the beginning we're sort of
we are butterflies in the end.
Woolly worms.
In the end, we're butterflies. We're going to
yes, in the beginning
What's wrong with
we're
a
sort
woolly
of
worm?
woolly worms.
Exactly.
Woolly worms. I've
So,
always
Deborah,
loved
thank you so much for
adorable.
taking
What's
the
wrong with
time
a woolly
out
worm?
of your life to come be
Exactly.
with us.
Yeah.
So, Deborah,
it's an
thank you so
absolute
much for
blessing.
taking the
Thank you,
time
Navé, for
out of your
inviting
life
me.
to come
I
be
really
with us.
appreciate it. And we'll
It's
talk
an
again
absolute
soon.
blessing. Thank
I'll
you,
look
Navé,
forward
for
to it.
inviting me.
I
Easy
really
travels.
appreciate it. And we'll
And
talk
there you
again
go, my
soon.
friends.
I'll look
Thus
forward to
concludes
it.
my conversation with
travels.
Deborah Domanski.
And there you go,
I hope
my
you enjoyed
friends.
what Deborah
Thus
had to
concludes
say. My conversation.
I've
with
always been
Deborah
impressed with
Domanski.
singers.
I hope you
I love the way
enjoyed what
Walter
Deborah had to
sings,
say.
and
Deborah and Walter got on
I've
stage.
always been
I
impressed
was
with
thrilled
singers.
to hear
I
them.
love the way Walter sings,
And when
and
Deborah and
level up
Walter
with
got on
such
stage, I
mastery.
was thrilled to hear them. I've always been
level
an
up with
off-key
such
singer.
mastery.
So when I hear people who really know how to, I've
always been
put the
an
voice
off-key singer.
onto the
So
right
when I
key,
hear people who
and
really
make a
know how to
melody that just harmonizes the whole room
onto the
I'm
right
quite
key,
appreciative of
and
that
make a melody
experience.
that just harmonizes
After the
the whole
Leaf
room.
Festival, Deborah
I'm
and
quite
David
appreciative
went
of
back
that
to Santa Fe,
experience.
where they
After
live.
the Leaf Festival,
and I recorded
Deborah
this
and
interview,
David
went back to
Zoom
Santa Fe, where
at
they
Lake
live.
Eden, and
And
Deborah
I
was in
recorded
Santa
this
Fe.
interview
And now I'm
on
finishing
Zoom
up this show
at Lake Eden
with my
and Deborah
computer
was in Santa
open,
Fe.
the
And now I'm
evening
finishing
upon me,
up this show,
and I am
with my
in Manila.
computer
I just
open,
arrived
the
here
evening
about
upon
5
me,
or 6 hours
and
ago.
I am
took a
in
nap.
Manila.
It
I just
was
arrived
probably
here
a 32-hour
flight
flight
from
from
Asheville.
Took a nap
To Atlanta.
It was
Atlanta to
probably
Korea,
a 32-hour
Korea to
flight
Manila.
from Asheville.
One of the things
to
about being in
Atlanta,
Manila,
Atlanta to
I'm
Korea,
warm.
Korea to
I like being
Manila.
warm. So
One of the
being
things
here
about
and
being
being
in
warm,
Manila,
I'm visiting
I'm
Tish.
warm.
I'll be
I
here
like
till
being
March
warm.
1st, so
So
everything
being
that I
here and
record
being warm, I'm
henceforth for the
visiting
next
Tish.
3 months
I'll be
will
here
be
till March
recorded
1st,
from
so everything
this
that I
area.
record henceforth for the next
tell
3
people
months
I don't travel.
will
I
be
just
recorded
change
from
locations
this
or I
area.
relocate.
I
Which is
tell
to say,
people I
I'll
don't
find a
travel.
coffee
I
shop
just
and
change
sit down and do
locations
the
or I
work, or
relocate.
sit down at the
Which is
desk
to
where I
say,
am
I'll
right
find a
now
coffee shop
and do
and
the
sit
work.
down and
Think
do the
about
work,
all
or
of these things.
sit down at the desk
Wonder
where I am
about what
right
comes
now
next
and do the
that
work.
sort of thing.
Think about all of
regarding
these
life.
things.
And I love
Wonder
to do
about
this
what comes
podcast,
next,
this radio
that
show,
sort of
and I'm
thing
grateful
regarding
that
life.
WPVM-FM
And I love
has
to do
aired
this
this show in
podcast, this
Asheville for
radio
almost
show,
10
and I'm
years.
grateful that WPVM-FM has
KCEI
aired this
Cultural
show in
Energy
Asheville
Radio
for
has
almost
aired
10
it
years,
out of
and
Taos for probably the last 4 years.
KCEI
So it's
Energy
been a
Radio
real
has
pleasure
aired
to
it
be
out of
able to
Taos
put
for
these things
probably the
together
last
and
4 years.
think about what
So
comes
it's been
next.
a
And
real
I'm always
pleasure
looking
to
for
be able to
people
put
and
these
subjects
things together and
to work with.
think about what comes
So if you
next.
know
And I'm
anyone
always looking
interested
for people
in
and
subjects to
being a guest
work
on
with
this show,
so if you know anyone
interested
over
in
community radio,
being
it
a
is
guest
community
on this
radio,
show,
after all.
having the
So we're there
stories
to
aired over
serve
community
the
radio,
greater
it is
community
community radio,
or really
after all.
anybody that
So
listens.
we're there to
So if you
serve
know
the
somebody who'd
greater
like to do that,
community, or
you
really
can always
anybody
reach
that
me,
listens.
Navé at
So if you
jamesnavé.com.
know somebody
I'm
who'd like
really
to do
curious
that,
about
you can always
stories
reach
right
me,
now.
Navé at
More than I have
jamesnavé.com.
ever been.
I'm really
Not
curious about
storytelling,
stories
although
right
I've always
now.
been curious
More
about
than I have
storytelling,
ever
but
been.
just what
Not
people have
storytelling, although
experienced
I've
and
always
how
been
they
curious about
approach
storytelling, but just
relaying
what people
or retelling
have
that
experienced
information
and how they
to those who
approach
listen.
And I'm
Relaying
also
or
interested in
retelling that
almost anything
information
anybody has
to
to
those
say
who listen
about whatever
and I'm
they're
also
thinking of.
interested in
I
almost
believe
anything
now
anybody
more than
has to
ever
say.
it is time for
about
the
whatever
people
they're
who
thinking
want to
of.
lean in the
I believe
artistic
now more
directions.
than ever it is
To
time
do so.
for the people
Jennifer
who want to
Pickering
lean in
and
the
I are
artistic
working on a book
directions
titled Live Life
to
Like
do
a
so.
Festival. And
Jennifer
one of the
Pickering and I are
ideas
working
that
on a
I am
book titled Live
exploring
Life Like a
isn't so
Festival.
much
And one
how
of the
you live life
ideas
like a
that I
festival,
am
but how you
exploring
bring
isn't so
the
much
festive
how you live
sensibilities
life
that
like a festival, but how
gravitas
you
of
bring
joy,
of
the
appreciation,
festive
of
sensibilities
dreaming, that
to
gravitas
all
of joy,
of
of
life,
appreciation,
not just
of
the
dreaming,
moments when
to
everything is
all
fine,
of
but
life,
to all of it.
not just the
How can you have a
moments
sense of
when
humor
everything is fine,
in
but
situations
to all
that
of it?
maybe
How can you have a sense of
don't
humor
appear at the very
in
beginning
situations
to
that
even
maybe have an opportunity for a sense of humor.
beginning to
and sense of humor doesn't mean that you discount
have an opportunity for a sense of humor.
It just means
and
that
sense
you
of
take
humor
a
doesn't mean
lighter,
that you discount
less stressful
view
it just means
of something
that you take
that
a
you're going to
lighter,
have to deal with.
less stressful
That would be living life like a
view
festival.
of something
And
that
living
you're
life
going
like
to
a
have to
festival
deal with.
doesn't mean you
that
have
would
to
be
do
living life
large
like a
things.
festival.
For
And
example,
living
when you
life like a
pause for a
festival
moment
doesn't
and
mean
do
you
an
have to do
inventory of your life.
large
It's likely
things.
that you
For
can come
example,
up with
when you pause for a
thousands of
moment and
moments
do an
that
inventory of
qualify
your
for
life,
your
it's
joy,
likely that you
sense
can
of
come up with
satisfaction, or
thousands of
feeling of
moments that
anticipation,
qualify
the
for your
smile
joy,
that comes,
sense
the
of
smile that comes on
satisfaction,
your
a
face
warm
when you sip a
feeling of
delicious cup of
anticipation,
hot
the
chocolate
smile
on an
that comes.
afternoon. The smile
One
that
of the
comes on
most
your face
common
when you sip a
festive
delicious
moments
cup
most
of
people
hot chocolate
share
on an
is
afternoon.
the exchange of
One of the
smiles
most
between
common
strangers.
festive moments most
So living
people
life like
share
a festival
is
is
the
a
exchange of
philosophical view of
smiles
the
between
world
strangers.
that allows room
So
for
living
looking
life like
at
a
the world
festival is a
optimistically,
philosophical
even
view
though
of the world
sometimes
that
you're looking
allows
at
room
tough
for
stuff.
looking at the world
So when you
optimistically,
factor in
even though
the
sometimes
range
you're
of
looking
the
at
human
tough
condition,
stuff. And then
so
you
when
also
you factor in the
idea that you
range
can
of
bring
the
a
human
festive
condition,
sensibility,
and then you also
to
factor in
your
the
range,
idea that you can bring
then
a
that
festive
gives you
sensibility
one more tool.
to your
It allows you
range,
to
then that
view
gives
a
you
circumstance,
good or
tool.
bad,
It
from
allows you
multiple
to
angles that you
view
might
a
not have
circumstance,
otherwise
good or
been able
bad,
to
from
employ.
multiple angles
So when
that
you
you
might
bring
not
this
have
sense of
otherwise been able to
festive,
employ.
this sense of
So when you bring this
lightheartedness,
sense
festive,
of attention,
this sense of
joy, of
lightheartedness,
curiosity to
this
any
sense
situation,
of attention,
you're going to find
of joy,
your
of
options will
curiosity to
increase,
any situation,
and your choices
you're
will
going
become
to
a bit
find
sharper.
your
And
options
that's a
will
good
increase,
thing, I think,
and your choices
don't you?
will become a bit sharper.
And on that
that's
note,
a good
we have
thing,
arrived at
I
the
think.
don't
Time
you?
to say goodbye.
And
I
on that note,
appreciate
we
you
have
tuning
arrived
into
at the
Provocative Conversations.
time to say goodbye.
From Twice
I
5 Miles
appreciate
Radio,
you
I'm your
tuning
host,
into Provocative
James
Conversations.
Navé. From
As I
Twice
said
5
earlier
Miles
in the
Radio,
show,
I'm
I've
your
been
host,
airing
James
on
Navé.
WPVM FM.
As I said
in
earlier in the
Asheville
show,
for
I've
almost
been
10
airing
years, and
on
airing
WPVM
on
FM
KCEI
in
Cultural
Asheville
Energy
for
Radio,
almost 10 years,
in
and
Taos
airing
for
on probably 4
KCEI
years now.
Cultural Energy
It's a
Radio,
real pleasure to be able to
in
broadcast
Taos
in
for
both of those
probably
areas.
4
I
years now.
claim
It's a
them
real
both
pleasure
as
to be able
home,
to
and I'm
broadcast
grateful to
in
have
both of those
experienced
areas.
both
I
regions.
claim them both as
intimately,
home, and I'm
and
grateful to have
I have
experienced
gained so
both
much from all
regions
the people that I know
intimately.
there.
There's a
And
fellow
I have
in
gained
Taos, his
so
name
much
is
from
John,
all the
and I
people
often
that
run
I
into
know
John
there.
There's a
When
fellow
I'm at the
in
AAA
Taos,
coffee
his name
shop,
is John,
and
I
John's
often run
there
into
often,
John
and he's always
when I'm
drawing
at the
and writing in
AAA
his
coffee
journal. And
shop.
he sees me,
And
he says,
John's
"Oh, I
there
love your
often,
show,
and he's
man.
always
Love your
drawing
show."
and
Writing in his journal. And
He
he
once
sees me, and he
in
says, "Oh,
Manila.
I love your
So
show,
John
man.
always says,
I'm
"Love
going to
your
be
show,"
listening
and
for stories from
he
Manila."
was
So
once
John, if
in
you're
Manila.
listening,
So John
here's a
always
story
says,
from
"I'm going to be
Manila.
listening
I'm
for stories
recording."
from Manila.
Well, so
late
John,
at
if you're
night
listening,
in Manila.
here's a story
Thinking
from
about
Manila. I'm
the times
recording
we've talked at
late
the
at
AAA
night
in
Manila,
in Taos.
thinking
So
about I'm
the times
grateful
we
to have
talked
this
at the
show. I'm grateful
AAA
for
in
Devine Dial,
Taos.
and I'm also grateful
So
for
I'm
Robbie
grateful to
Collier
have this
and
show.
Mike
I'm
Tilley,
grateful
who's
for
been
Devine
there as
Dial.
long as Robin
And
has.
I'm
Those
also
two
grateful
guys
for
really,
Robbie Collier
put their
and Mike
shoulders
Tilley,
into
who's been there
the
as long as
radio
Robin
world.
has. Those
We
two
appreciate
guys
that, no
really,
doubt.
really put
So
their
Walter
shoulders
Parks,
into
thank you for our
the
theme
radio
song,
world.
WalterParks.com,
We appreciate
for
that,
Walter's
no doubt.
music.
And
So
like I
Walter
said
Parks,
a
thank
moment
you for our
ago,
theme
if you know
song,
anybody who
WalterParks.com,
would like to be
Walter's
on the
music.
show, it
And
is
like I
community
said
radio.
a moment
after
ago,
all, and
if
I
you
do
know anybody who
enjoy
would like to be
having
on the show, it
conversations
is
with
community
folks
radio
from
after
all
all, and
walks
I
of
do
life. So if
enjoy
you
having
feel moved
conversations with
to
folks from all
recommend
walks of
someone,
life. So if you
maybe even yourself,
feel moved to
Navé at
jamesnave.com,
recommend
I'd
someone,
love to hear from you.
maybe even
So
yourself.
there you go, Navé at jamesnave.com. I'd love to hear
Again,
from
I
you.
appreciate you
So
tuning
there
in.
you go.
Hope you do come
We've
back
arrived
sometime
at the
soon.
end. Till then,
Again, I
maybe I'll
appreciate
catch
you
you on that
tuning in.
turnaround.
Hope you do come
somewhere
back sometime
down the
soon.
line. Till then, maybe I'll catch you on that turnaround somewhere down the line.